All right, let's get into it. Today, we are going to tackle something that can feel like a real monster when you're studying business law, the problem question. But don't worry, we're going to flip the script and turn you from a student who feels a bit lost into a legal detective totally ready to crack any case that lands on your desk.
You know that feeling, right? You're staring at this long story about contracts or someone being careless, and you just think, where do I even begin? Well, you're not alone. These things are designed to be like tricky mysteries. But here's the good news. Every mystery has a solution, and every case has a structure. You just need the right toolkit to find it.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by looking at this whole mystery, then I'll introduce you to your new best friend, the IRAC method. And then we'll break it down piece by piece, from spotting the real issue all the way to delivering that final, confident conclusion. It's a clear roadmap, I promise.
Okay, so let's talk about this mystery. The real trick to a problem question isn't just about memorizing laws. Nope, it's about learning to think like a lawyer. It's about cracking the code and seeing that hidden legal skeleton inside a big story full of facts.
So what's the secret weapon for cracking this code? It's a simple, powerful framework called IRAC. Seriously, think of this as your official detective's investigation plan. It's logical, it's methodical, and it's going to guide you through the chaos of any legal scenario you face. So what is IRAC? It stands for Issue, Rule, Application, and Conclusion. But it's so much more than just an acronym, you know? It's a disciplined way of thinking that makes sure you cover all your bases in a legal analysis. You won't leave any stone unturned.
Here are the 4 stages of our investigation. First, you've got to identify the crime. That's the issue. It's the core question you need to answer. Then you hit the books. You find the laws and past cases. That's the rule. After that, the real detective work kicks in. You connect the evidence from the scene to those laws. That's your application. And finally, you solve the case and deliver your verdict. That's the conclusion. Simple, right?
So let's dive into step 1, finding the issue. Look, before you can solve anything, you have to know exactly what the problem is. This is all about identifying that central crime, or in our world, the main legal question.
This is the absolute first question you have to ask yourself. Not, who's right, but what's the specific legal clash here? Is this about a broken contract? Is it about negligence? Or maybe it's a question of whether an offer was even made. You've got to be super precise.
A really good issue statement is sharp. It's focused. Here's a pro tip for you. Try to frame it as a question that can be answered with a yes or a no. So instead of something vague like, was there a contract? A much better issue would be, does a post on social media count as a legally binding offer? You see the difference? That kind of precision sets up your entire investigation for success.
Okay, once you've nailed down your question, it's time to find the law. This step is all about consulting the rule book. You're basically gathering all the legal principles that are going to help you crack this case. So what tools do you need for this job? Well, you have to find the specific laws or the big landmark court cases that apply to the issue you just identified. And remember, this isn't about your personal opinion. It's about stating the law as it exists.
Now, this is so important. In the rules section, you're just stating the law, clearly and objectively. You're just laying out the legal framework. For instance, you'd state the definition of a contract, agreement, consideration, intent, and cite the cases. You save all your brilliant analysis for the next step. And now for the main event. This is where the real magic happens, where the true detective work begins. The application is the heart and soul of your answer. It's where you connect the evidence, the specific facts of your case, to the law you just laid out. This is where you build your case, your argument. You have to go through each part of the rule one by one and see if the facts fit. So if the rule for a contract needs an offer, you look at the facts and ask, okay, was there an actual offer here? What did this person say or do that looks and smells like an offer? This right here is what separates a decent answer from a fantastic one. A weak application just lists some facts and then lists the rules, like they're 2 totally separate things. But a strong application? Oh, it weaves them together beautifully. It builds a chain of logic. It says the rule requires X, and in our case, the fact that John said Y meets this requirement because that's how you build an argument that's impossible to ignore.
All right, you've done the hard work. You've run a thorough investigation, and now it's time to close the case. The conclusion is your final verdict. It's where you deliver the answer based on all that amazing analysis you just did.
So, after weighing all the evidence and applying the law, what's the bottom line? what's the most likely legal outcome here. Your conclusion needs to be decisive, and it has to flow naturally right from your application section. No surprises. And this is absolutely key. Your conclusion has to directly answer the issue you came up with way back in step 1. So if your issue was, does a social media post count as a binding offer? Your conclusion should start with a clear yes or no, and then give a one-sentence reason why. It closes the loop on your investigation perfectly.
So, to wrap this all up, let's go over the detective's golden rules. 1. Always state the law before you try to apply it. 2. Your application has to be a bridge that connects the facts to that law. 3. Hey, if the facts are a little murky, don't be afraid to argue both sides. That shows you're a sophisticated thinker. And finally, number 4. Make sure your verdict directly answers the initial charge.
So there you have it. You now have the toolkit. IRAC isn't just some boring formula. It's a whole new way of thinking that's going to give you clarity and confidence when you're staring down any legal mystery. So the only question left is, what case are you going to crack first?